Hi, this is Matt with Plating Pixels, home of cost-conscious comfort food, where I teach you how to make affordable, restaurant-quality meals at home. And in this video, we're making a complete traditional St. Patrick's Day dinner of corned beef with carrots, cabbage, potatoes, and rye bread. And this homemade corned beef St. Patrick's Day dinner for four comes out to about $30 total. Far cheaper than going to your local pub and ordering a similar meal out. And to make this recipe super easy and beginner friendly, we're using an Instant Pot to cook the corned beef. It's a hands-off method. You can put everything in the Instant Pot, get it cooking. That'll give you time to focus on other food or spend time with your guests. And I found the Instant Pot is one of the best ways to cook corned beef. It's gonna give you juicy, tender corned beef that's still going to slice and cut nicely. What you'll need for this recipe is a pre-seasoned corned beef brisket. They typically come in about 3-pound sizes. Some onion and garlic. We're going to cook that with the corned beef to infuse in some extra flavor. And then once the corned beef's cooked, we're going to add in some carrots, cabbage, and potatoes. These are very traditional to make a complete St. Patrick's Day dinner and pair beautifully with our corned beef. And then finally, just some rye bread that's great for serving on the side. And as you can see, all this totals out to just around $30. Total, this is going to take about an hour and a half to cook everything, so just plan ahead accordingly. And let's get started. The first step is to add about a cup of liquid to the Instant Pot. You can use water, or if you have chicken stock or beef stock, that's going to help add a little bit of extra flavor, but it's optional. And when cooking brisket, I recommend using the trivet. That's going to help elevate it out of the liquid and steam it and just help the texture overall. Next, we'll add some yellow onion. I've sliced these pretty large. Go ahead and just put some around the edges. And if they get in the liquid, that's totally fine. The flavors of the onion, they're gonna soften, it's gonna become a little bit more mild and sweeter and just help infuse the steam with a little bit extra flavor. So the next step is to add our corned beef brisket. Again, the one I'm using is about 3 pounds, which will be more than enough for 4 people. So go ahead and cut it open and place it fat side up on top of the onions that we prepared. And generally when cooking larger roasts like this, you wanna put it fat side up. That way the fat will render and melt over the rest of the meat, and it's gonna help create extra flavor and juiciness. And your corned beef, make sure to look for it. It should have a seasoning packet. So now we can go ahead and add that to our roast as well. And depending on how much is included, you might be able to get some on both sides. So I'm gonna just give this a quick flip, put some on the other side as well, and then rotate it back. And then finally, I have some minced garlic. We'll rub that on top just to add some extra flavor as well. If you have any leftover onion slices, I like to just throw a couple on top. Again, these are gonna cook, soften up. Some of the flavor's gonna meld out of there and help season our corned beef a little bit more. Everything's ready to go to start cooking our brisket. So the next step is just put the lid on and seal it. No need to let the brisket come to room temperature. It's gonna have plenty of time in the Instant Pot that's gonna cook evenly throughout. And a note on cooking time, unlike leaner meats like chicken, brisket has a lot of connective tissue. So we'll need to cook this for about 60 to 90 minutes, depending on your roast size and desired doneness. A longer cook like this, even in an Instant Pot on high, it's going to give it plenty of time for the collagen to break down into gelatin, and that's going to create that nice, sliceable, tender, juicy corned beef that you want. You can even cook it longer, up to 90 minutes, and that's going to give you more of a fork tender, shreddable texture. But the more traditional way is a little bit more firm and sliceable. So we'll stick with about 70 to 75 minutes for this. Let's get that started. And I also want to point out that we'll cook the potatoes and the rest of the vegetables separately. We'll let this fully cook, and you want to let the steam release naturally. So at that point, come back to the video. So the corned beef is done pressure cooking, I'm gonna let it sit about 15 or so minutes to do a natural steam release. This is critical to hold in the moistures and get the best juicy, tender corned beef possible. So while we're doing that, you can go ahead and prep the veggies. So I'm using a whole head of cabbage, or you can use a half depending on how much you want to serve. And we're gonna eventually put all this in the Instant Pot and cook it. So it's gonna cook down a little bit. Go ahead and cut these into just largely chopped pieces. And I'm probably just gonna use about a half of a cabbage for this meal. Another great way to cook cabbage, if you have leftovers, is cabbage steaks. Just simply roast them in the oven. I'm working on a video for that as well. These are ready to go. That should be plenty to put into the Instant Pot. And then we'll use about a pound of potatoes. I like to use smaller, waxier potatoes like yellow or red. We could just throw them in there whole. And about a pound of carrots. You can either cut and peel your own, or I'm gonna use baby carrots to make this quick and easy. So everything's ready. Let's go ahead and check on our corned beef. And here's the moment of truth. I'm excited to see what this looks like. So there might still be a little bit of steam here. Let's go ahead and open it carefully. And all the smells are coming out right now. I can tell this is gonna be an amazing, authentic corned beef for St. Patrick's Day. And that looks perfect. It's cooked down a lot. It's got that rosy pink color you'd expect from a corned beef. So at this point, the corned beef is done and ready to serve, but we still want to let it sit a little bit. That's going to help hold in the moisture a little bit more. So let's go ahead and remove this from the Instant Pot. And I'm going to transfer this corned beef to a baking dish. And to keep it warm while we're cooking our vegetables, I'm going to cover this in foil. And that's also going to hold in the moisture, so we can set this aside. And next we can add our vegetables. We can use the same liquid. Don't worry about taking the onions out. Those are there mostly just to add flavor to the broth and to the steam. And next, just add the vegetables straight in there. For serving, I like to keep them a little bit separate, so I'm going to push these all to one side. I'm starting with the cabbage. Next, I'll add my baby carrots. And a note on cooking times: to cook all this together, it's going to need about 5 to 7 minutes in the Instant Pot. The cabbage is going to cook a lot quicker, but that's okay. I'm going to do it all together just to save time and make this recipe a little bit easier. Finally, add our potatoes, and it looks beautiful. This is going to pair so well with our corned beef and make our presentation extra special for St. Patrick's Day. Next step is to seal the lid again, and we'll cook this on manual high for about 7 minutes. If you're almost ready to serve, go ahead and start slicing and preparing your corned beef. And an important step when cutting any meat is to always cut across the grain. With corned beef and brisket, it's pretty obvious. Our grain is going this way. It's got really big, noticeable grain. So I'm just gonna cut opposite. And you wanna cut roughly about 1/4 inch pieces, maybe even a little less. That's a good size for serving. Too thin, they're gonna fall apart. And if you cut it too thick, it won't feel as tender. You're gonna be chewing on bigger pieces of meat. And then also cutting it this size is gonna be perfect for leftover Reuben sandwiches. You're likely gonna have more than 4 servings from your roast, depending on how hungry everyone is. So if you do have leftovers, these are already perfectly sliced for your sandwiches. And when you're done, either serve it right away or cover it back with foil until you're ready to do your final presentation. Our vegetables are done. The steam has released. So let's go ahead and give these a look. They look perfect. At this point, you can sprinkle them with a little bit of salt and pepper to enhance the flavor. And now we're ready to serve everything and enjoy our St. Patrick's Day dinner. And to serve this, I recommend just putting a few slices right in the center to showcase it, and then just simply add some veggies around it. And not only with the vegetable sides, I like to serve it with a little bit of rye bread just to make it a more filling, balanced, authentic meal. And now we're ready to serve. I'm gonna go ahead and give this a try. And no need to use a knife. This is gonna break apart with your fork. It's gonna be super tender and juicy. That is perfect. It's got the natural corned beef spices. It's a little tangy, it's savory, it's very meaty, it's very rich. And all this came together in about 10 to 15 minutes total of hands-on time, and all for around $30 for 4 people. And don't forget to check out the description below to save the printable recipe card. And if you like this video, be sure to like it and subscribe to Plating Pixels to get all of my future videos. Happy St. Patty's Day.